Well, today we are continuing our series called Angels and Demons. And the title of my message today is Understanding the Devil and Demons. We spent 4 weeks learning about angels. And so today we are switching gears and we're going to spend several weeks talking about demons. Next Sunday, I'm going to be teaching on what the devil doesn't want you to know. August 25th, I'll be teaching on what is demon possession and demon oppression and how is it impacting your life. And then we'll wrap up the series September 1st, teaching on spiritual warfare. We're going to learn how to win the battle against the devil and demons. And today I want to educate you. Can I take you a little deeper today? Is that okay? Can I take you a little deeper? I want to lay a theological foundation about the devil and demons. The next 3 weeks are going to be a lot more practical. But today I want to answer some of the most frequently asked questions about the devil and demons. I want you to be informed, not fearful, equipped, not unprepared. And so here's the first question. Where did the devil come from? The devil was once a heavenly angel created by God before creation along with all the other angels. Colossians 1:16, the Bible says all things were created. Things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. God created all things in heaven, on earth, the visible and the invisible world. When it says thrones, powers, rulers, and authorities, that's frequently used to describe spiritual beings. So God created angels, God created the unseen world. And in Genesis 1:31, it says that all that God made was very good. So we know that the devil was created good because everything that God made was good. But like you and I, the devil and the angels had free will. They could choose to worship God or not to worship God. Lucifer, who we now call Satan, chose not to worship God. Here's the second question. What role did the devil have in heaven? There are some scholars who believe Satan was created as a cherubim angel, and some who believe he was a seraphim angel. We talked about these two types of angels in week 2 of the series. If you missed it, you can go on our YouTube page, People's Church Indianapolis, and you can find that message. But here's why some scholars believe Satan was a cherubim angel. In Ezekiel 28, the prophet began to pronounce judgment on a human ruler called the Prince of Tyre, a Phoenician ruler in the city of Tyre. Now, scholars believe Ezekiel was looking past the Prince of Tyre to the power behind the power. Satan was the power behind that king's power. He's the power behind the throne. And whenever we see people, leaders, nations doing evil and wickedness, we always know that there's a power behind the power, and that's Satan. And so Ezekiel was pointing to the power behind the power. I want to give you 5 insights of why scholars believed Satan was a cherub angel in heaven. First is this, the phrase, "you were created" instead of conceived. Look at Ezekiel 28, verse 12 through 13. "Son of man, take up lament concerning the king of Tyre and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you: carnelian, chrysolite, and emerald, topaz, onyx, and jasper, lapis, lazuli, turquoise, and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. So scholars believe, since it says you were created, it's referring to when God created Satan. Because if it was a man, it would have said the day you were conceived or the day that you were born. Here's a second insight, and it's the phrase, you were in Eden, the garden of God. We know that there's no way that king was in the Garden of Eden, but we know that Satan was there and he tempted Eve. Thirdly, the reference to Satan having musical ability. In verse 13, it gives a description of settings and mountings made of pure gold. Some versions of the Bible translate it as tabrets and pipes. A tabret is a tambourine type instrument. Scholars believe this refers to Satan being very gifted musically. He had pure gold pipes. Some even say he was the main worship leader in heaven. The fourth insight is the phrase, you were the anointed cherub. Ezekiel 28:14, you were anointed as a guardian cherub. For so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. We know that the king of Tyre was not a cherub angel. So this seems to be pointing to the power behind the power, Satan. And then the fifth insight is the phrase, you were perfect or blameless. Ezekiel 28:15, you were perfect. The NIV says blameless in your ways from the day you were created till iniquity was found in you. We know that no human being was perfect or blameless except for Jesus. When the first humans, Adam and Eve, sinned against God, sin entered our world, and every human being since then has been born into sin. Romans 3:10, as it is written, there is no one righteous, not even one. Humans are born sinners. But Satan was created good, perfect, and blameless, just like God created Adam and Eve, perfect and blameless. But again, Satan had free will, just like we do, and he chose to rebel against God. He chose not to serve God, just like you and I can choose not to serve and worship God. Now, let me give you one reason some scholars believe that Satan was a seraphim angel. The word seraph means fiery serpent. So in Genesis 3:1, when the devil was tempting Eve, he came as a serpent because that's what he was. He was a seraphim angel, a serpent angel, a snake-like angel. And the Bible describes Satan as a snake in the book of Revelation, Revelation 12:9. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan. Revelation 12:15, then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. This is talking about the devil. Revelation 22, he seized the dragon, the ancient serpent, who is the devil or Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. Now, I'm not 100% sure the devil was a cherub or seraphim angel. But what I'm 100% sure is that the devil was created as a good angel. The third question is, why is the devil no longer in heaven serving God? One word describes why the devil is no longer in heaven serving God and worshiping God. It's pride. 1 Timothy 3:6. He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. The devil came under God's judgment because he became proud. Ezekiel 28, verse 15 through 17 says, you were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. Though your widespread trade, you were filled, through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings. Satan became proud because of his beauty, his gifts, his talents, his position, and power. Church, be very careful, because it's easy for all of us to allow pride to creep into our heart. Watch out for pride, because it will distance you from God. God opposes the proud. Let's quickly look at what Isaiah says about Satan's pride and downfall. Scholars believe that Isaiah 14 does something similar to what Ezekiel does in chapter 28. He begins to pronounce judgment on the king of Babylon. And as he's pronouncing judgment, he starts talking about the power behind the throne. He looks to the power behind the power, Satan. Isaiah 14, verse 12 through 14. How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. Some translations say day star, shining star. It says morning star in the King James, the New King James, and that's morning star there is translated as Lucifer. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly and the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Satan saw his beauty and his gifts, and instead of worshiping the gift giver, he worshiped the gift. He wasn't satisfied with the power God had given him. He wanted more power. So he said, I will raise my throne above God's throne. He wanted the same power that God had. He wanted to be in charge. He wanted to be worshiped. And the devil became so full of pride that he had the audacity to try to fight against God. That's some serious pride when you think you can fight and win against God. Of course, Satan's plan did not work. He was light work for God. Matter of fact, God didn't even get involved in this battle. He let his angels take care of his light work. Revelation chapter 12, verse 7 through 9. Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. Isaiah 14:15 also talks about Satan getting kicked out of heaven. Ezekiel 28:17 talks about Satan getting kicked out of heaven. Jesus talked about Satan getting kicked out of heaven. Luke 10:18, he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Satan's pride got him kicked out of heaven. Here's the next question. Is the devil omnipresent? And the answer is no. The devil can't be in more than one place at the same time. Only God is omnipresent. The devil was a created angel. He is limited by space. Job 1:7, the Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Satan has to roam from place to place because he can't be in more than one place at a time. He is not omnipresent. Here's another question. Number 5, where do demons come from? Most scholars believe demons were once angels in heaven. They were created before creation along with all the other angels. These angels were once in heaven serving God, but Satan convinced them to follow him and rebel against God. So when this war broke out in heaven, not only was the devil kicked out of heaven, but so were the angels that chose to follow him and rebel against God. Revelation 12:4. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. Many scholars believe the third of the stars here is referring to the angels who were thrown out of heaven onto the earth. Revelation 12:9, it says, the great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him. So many scholars believe demons are angels who were kicked out of heaven and thrown to earth. Another theory that's not nearly as common on where demons come from, and that's not supported as clearly in scriptures, is that demons are the disembodied spirits of the dead Nephilim. The Nephilim were the offspring of the sons of God, or angels, who had sex with women. Genesis 6:4. In those days, and for some time after, giant Nephilites lived on the earth, for whenever the sons of God, angels, had intercourse with women, they gave birth to children who became the heroes and famous warriors of ancient times. So the Nephilim were the offspring of the angels who had sex with human women. And some believe when the Nephilim died, their spirits became demons. Now, I don't personally believe this. I believe demons are fallen angels who were kicked out of heaven. Number 6, sixth question. Who are the angels, who are the angels bound until, who are the angels that are bound until judgment? Forgive me. There isn't 100% clarity on who these angels are, but there are scholars who believe these angels are the ones who had sex with the human women in Genesis 6. So God was very displeased with these rebellious angels for having sex with human women and bound them in chains so that this would never happen again. 2 Peter 2:4, it says, for if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment. And so we know that the devil's sin in heaven didn't get him bound with chains. So it seems to be another sin that angels committed. There's another sin that angels committed that got them bound in chains. And I believe it's the sin of Genesis 6, when the angels had sex with human women. Jude also talks about these angels being chained. And in Jude, it says, and the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. And so there are fallen angels who are bound until judgment day. Number 7, the seventh question is this: is there a hierarchy of demons? Because demons were once angels, and we learned in week 2 of this series that good angels have a hierarchy, and it's no different with fallen angels. Demons have a hierarchy. Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, principalities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Paul teaches us that the demonic spirit world has rulers, authorities, powers, and spiritual forces. There's a hierarchy. Daniel chapter 10, verse 13, it says, but for 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia. So the prince of Persia was an evil spirit who had authority and influence over the Persian kingdom. And so it's clear that the Bible is giving us intel that some demons have authority over nations, countries, states, and cities. The demonic world is very organized. Question number 8. Can demons know things that people don't and do things that people can't? First, let me say that God is the only one who is all-powerful and all-knowing. But demons do know things that we don't. Because they are spirits, they don't die. So they've been around since before Adam and Eve were created thousands of years ago. So demons know more about heaven than we know because they lived in heaven. They know more about God than we know because they lived in heaven with God. They know more about the unseen world than we do because they operate in the unseen world. They know more about earth and the seen world than we do because they've been observing the seen world for thousands of years. They know a lot because they've been around for thousands of years. Let me read a couple of passages of scriptures of how demons can know and do things that we can't. Acts chapter 16, verse 16 through 17, it says, once when we were going to the place of prayer, we were met by a female slave who had a spirit by which she predicted the future. She earned a great deal of money for her owners by fortune telling. She followed Paul and the rest of us shouting, these men are servants of the Most High God who are telling you the way to be saved. The demons knew who Jesus was because they used to be angels in heaven. They've been around a long time, and demons can do things that people can't. Look at Matthew chapter 8, verse 31 and 32. The demons begged Jesus, if you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs. He said to them, go. So they came out and went into the pigs. And the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Demons can possess people's bodies, and they can obviously also possess animals. That's why your cats act so crazy. We done figured it out. You probably said the phrase, my animal, my dog, my kid acting like a demon. What is going to me? And as we talk about demons over the next several weeks, I'm going to teach you. You don't want to miss it. Again, I would encourage you. I know today I know I'm making some of your brains hurt with some of the stuff I'm talking about, but I want you to be educated. All right. In these next couple of weeks, we're gonna teach you about demon possession and oppression. So I'd encourage you, don't miss the final 3 weeks. Here's the last question. Question number 9. Can the devil and his angels repent? The devil and his angels' final fate is sealed. They rebelled against God. They've deceived the world. They have killed, stolen, and destroyed so many people's lives. So God created hell for the devil and his angels. Hell wasn't created for humanity. Matthew 25:41. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. Hell wasn't created for you. God doesn't want any human being to go to hell. Hell is for the devil. His fate is sealed. God did not provide a plan of redemption for fallen angels like he did for mankind. God the Father, he sent his one and only Son, Jesus Christ, to die on the cross so that humanity's sin can be forgiven. But God did not provide a plan of salvation for the fallen angels. Hebrews 2:16, it says, for surely it is not angels he helps, but Abraham's descendants. God doesn't help the fallen angels with a plan of salvation. He sent Jesus for my sins, for your sins, and for the sins of every human being. Don't reject God's wonderful plan of salvation and follow the devil to hell. God has provided salvation for you through Jesus Christ. But you have free will, and you can choose to accept or reject God's plan of salvation.